is Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka Tano, and thank you for listening to the Super Awesome Geek Show.
Hey guys, John here, and welcome back to the Super Awesome Geek Show. Today we've got something special for you. I'm going to bring in G-Force first, our co-host for today. Hey G, how you doing?
How's everybody doing today?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. So today, guys, we're going to have something special coming up here today. We've got a special guest. So what I'm going to do with the chat, I know we usually go through and say hi to everybody. I'm going to say a general hello. Gap's here, Mr. B. But I'm not going to put up everybody's hello comments this time. If you've got any questions or a statement or something to say for our special guest, those are the comments that I will highlight and put up. So feel free to add things to the conversation, ask some questions, and I will put those up on the chat. Just to keep it rolling and keep it going smooth. All right. Hope you guys understand that. And today, let me show you something that might give you a clue as to who our special guest is today.
Action! We're called Slither. You'll be joining us soon. A band of vipers, fleeing our doom. With an iron fist and a reptile hiss, we shall rule. We're tired of words, we've heard it before. We're not gonna play the game no more. You'll tell us what's right, you'll tell us what's wrong. To them to resist, cause no is wrong.
Yes, we have Gus Rios.
Man, seeing that's pretty cool.
So Gus here is from the modernized version of that what you just saw, Cold Slither. And Gus, first off, you watched that cartoon when you were younger, right?
In real time upon airing. Yeah.
Did you ever think there would come a day where that one episode would turn into this?
I mean, I think, who really knew that 40 years later, we'd even still be talking about this?
Yeah, right?
Kind of a real testament to the impact that G.I. Joe had on so many of us.
Oh, I know, yeah. And all the cartoons of our generation. I mean, one of my friends brought it up, and I think you brought it up in an article that you did for Decibel. And these characters, like Duke, Flint, Beachhead, even Sergeant Slaughter, you got in Transformers, Optimus Prime. We had Captain America and Marvel. These characters, for some of us kids, were like positive male role models for us, and in some cases, even father figures. And
I mean, that's every word of that is completely true. And it's interesting that, you weren't even really aware of it till like the age of the internet.
Yeah.
And you could like go back and dig in and like, oh my God, that this all of this meant so much to me.
And influenced our lives in ways that we didn't even realize until we were adults, Yeah, absolutely. So, Gus, what I want to talk to you about today is, obviously Cold Slither. I want to get into some of the toys and stuff that we collect as well. And but I think we should start off with, why don't you introduce a little bit about your background and who you are? I know you've got other bands that you've been in, and maybe discuss some of that a little bit so people get an idea of who you are and where you're coming from.
I mean, I'm of the appropriate age. I'm 48. I grew up in all the 80s IPs, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, et cetera. And then, in like 87, I remember I got a cassette from a band called Slither. And that kind of really literally started the trajectory that I'm still on to this day. I learned to play guitar. I learned to play drums. I learned to play bass. I just became a musician. I was out on tour 2 weeks after graduating high school, and I haven't stopped since. These days I play in a band called Gruesome. I play in a band called Left to Die. And, these are bands that release records and tour the world and stuff. So like, I'm a full-time musician. Like, this is what I do. So, like, I guess in terms of what someone may be looking for in the people that are doing this band, yeah, I mean, we are legit players, but we're also real legit, toy, people. Like, we're you guys.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it was 1984, I think it was. My friend, for Christmas, got 2 copies of the cassette tape Master of Puppets. So he came over to my house, and I had been listening to, like, Kenny Rogers, what my mom listened to, and he handed me that cassette and said, "It's time to upgrade your life."
I mean, it's so my story's yours, but like a step up in that I was listening to Metallica, and in like '87, somebody came up to me and was like, "You got to stop listening to that, ABBA, and listen to this band called Slayer." And I just went kind of the extreme route with music.
Yeah.
I had an older brother, so he was into metal, and I grew up with Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and all the old school stuff and Maiden, and then it just progressed through the years through Metallica, Slayer, all the speed metal years in the early or late 80s,
Yeah, DRI.
The good stuff.
It was such a great time to be alive.
It's funny, we tour with, sometimes we tour with these younger bands, and these kids all like fantasize or romanticize like this period of time that we grew up in, because I don't think it'll ever happen again, man. There'll never be a time like the 80s or even like the early 90s, like it just can't, it literally can't happen again. Yeah. So, we are.
You can never have latchkey children these days.
Right, yeah.
No way.
That's like super frowned upon.
Yeah, literally when I was 15 years old, my dad, he came to me and he said, "Okay," he goes, "I know you're going to be getting cars and getting into girls and doing all this stuff." And he goes, "There's no way I'm going to be able to control it," because my parents had divorced when I was 11. So he's like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to control it. You're going to sneak out of the house. You're going to do all this crap." So he goes, "We're just going to cut to the chase and be like, I'm going to have one rule. When I get up for work in the morning, you better be in this house." So my curfew was 5 a.m. when he got up for work.
Pretty solid, solid curfew.
And I remember sometimes like running in the door right before he was coming down those stairs, but it worked, and I went to like every concert, got to go all over the place and just live my life.
Whereas like today you gotta like entice a kid to go outside. You know what I mean? Like this is why it's just so we there'll never be a time like that again.
Yeah. So, Gus, how did Cold Slither come about? How did this? I think behind the scenes we were saying this might have been like a 10-year process. I didn't know it was that far.
So the story, it goes back probably even further than that. I used to play in a band called Malevolent Creation years and years and years ago, and we were signed to a label called Nuclear Blast. The manager of the label was a guy named Gerardo Martinez, who that's the guy that really is the mastermind behind all of this. So all those years ago, I don't even remember how we both figured out we were big G.I. Joe fans. I think he must have been wearing a G.I. Joe shirt, or I was wearing a G.I. Joe shirt. And then we just kind of we became actual friends. Aside from like this work relationship, because he had a massive toy collection, I had a massive toy collection. This is right at the age of eBay had just started becoming a thing, and you could acquire all these toys again. Yeah. So we were both big time collectors, from literally the onset of eBay. And then I don't know, at some point, probably 10-ish years ago, he's like, man, he made a contact at Hasbro, and he's the head of a record company. He's like, I want to do Cold Slither.
Wow.
And he knows I'm a legit Joe guys, and he's like, and you're doing it with me. And I remember even all those years ago making a demo of the Cold Slither song. And then his contact at Hasbro, there was like a big shakeup. Remember about 10 years ago was that period of time where G.I. Joe just kind of went at Hasbro.
Yeah.
And, obviously the idea at that point was dead in the water. Fast forward to, we owe all of this to Classified and the success of Classified. Obviously G.I. Joe is like a hot thing again, which I couldn't be happier about it. And funny enough, it was almost a year ago. I was in the studio on the last day of recording an album with my band Gruesome, and I get a text from Gerardo. He goes, "Call me right now." And I texted him back. I go, "I'm just wrapping up this last song at the studio. I'll call you in a bit." And he actually he had left Nuclear Blast, started his own record company, which is Reigning Phoenix Music. And I call him up, and he's like, "Are you sitting down?" And I go, "Come on, dude." And he goes, "Cold effing Slither." And I went, "Shut up, man."
Oh yeah.
He goes, "I just got off the phone with Hasbro. It's happening." And it just, you just sort of, I remember the whole time I was writing the album and making the demos, I kept telling my wife, I go, "Something's going to fall apart. This can't be happening. Like, there's no way I'm Zartan. This isn't real." And then like, I remember turning in the album and when I started seeing the imagery, like the album covers and all this stuff, I was like, "Oh my God, this is happening." And then during the live stream, when they played a little snippet of it, I mean, I got very emotional because I was like, "Oh my God, I'm hearing my voice and my guitar playing during like an official Hasbro thing."
Release.
Like, this is just unreal to me. And
wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long idea that thankfully got fleshed out, and I still I can't believe there's a show next month. Like, I'm gonna get on stage and Cold Slither's playing live. Cold Slither.
That is awesome.
Full
Now,
costume and everything.
Yeah, do you guys get to dress up?
Yeah, there was a budget. I had to go buy like a real pro quality $300 and something wig, and we all have our outfits, and it's going to be really cool, man. It's going to be really cool. And we're working on show, we're not just going to get up and play 10 songs. Like, there's going to be a show. And I mean, there's just so many ideas at Comic-Con. So there's plenty of cosplay people available.
So that's when you just said play all the songs. So you're going to do a totally full on legit concert at Comic-Con, not just play a song.
No, this is a full on. I mean, and this is I wrote and recorded the whole record myself. I play bass and drums and everything. I just kind of did it all myself to just get it done. But, when it came time to get real members in the band, Matt Harvey's my right-hand guy. Like, we tour the world together in a couple of bands. He's an immensely talented player. He's a geek and a nerd just like us. His comic book collection is quite something. He's a big Marvel guy. He collects all the Marvel toys.
Me too. Yeah.
Ross is the bass player in Exhumed, and he's a Joe guy like me. He collects all the 3 3/4 stuff. I mean, he has a Terradrome. He's got he's got all the stuff. So, and then Andy is just literally an actual Dreadnok. So, he's not a collector like us, but I'm like, you're the only one of us that's an actual Dreadnok. So you, sir, are in the band. There's going to be a show where we're hoping to get cosplayers involved, and Little surprises here and there. Like, well, it's going to be a really cool thing.
Hold on, I think we got.
Uh-oh.
I think we might have got taken down here. Hold on.
Oh, wow.
Still live on my end.
Is it still live? All right.
Yep.
Because what's Jonathan Redmond saying? He's like, it's not showing live on YouTube, mate. And then Size here.
Don't know.
You see it though, G? You're all right?
Yes.
All right. It still shows live here. So, all right, we're going. Don't worry. I didn't know if I had to restart it, so I just wanted to make sure.
It's G.I. Joe. The Joes are interfering.
Yeah.
Trying to get to us.
Cobra's taking us out. Or actually, it would be Joe, wouldn't it?
It would be Joe. I mean,
we're talking about.
I'm a Cobra, dude.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is funny enough, like, another element of this that's interesting. It just happens to work out that way. Like, the Dreadnoks are based out of the Everglades of Florida. I literally live 2.5 miles from the Everglades. I ride a motorcycle. I remember when he called me, I was like, I'm in, bro. I'm in. I already got the tattoos. Like, I'm good to go, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm now down here in Florida as well. I'm in Margate area.
Oh, really? No, man. I mean, I'm in West Coral Springs.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we're practically neighbors. That's real close.
We'll have to meet up at Brian's shop at some point.
Yeah, I go to see Brian like every couple of weeks and pick up comics, and I run.
Yeah, me too.
I go to Joey with Way Back When over there. I love that place. And,
yeah, I know him too.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been collecting comics since I was 4 years old, and I'm a Marvel guy. People get astounded at the collection I've put together since I was a kid. I've literally got comics since I was 4 years old every single week, every time they came out. And so I bought like all those Wolverine, Thor, Iron Man, like as they were coming out, Fantastic Four, Avengers. I've got them all, and I've got every Avengers except for 3 that's ever come out.
Yeah, I think Matt has complete series like that too.
Yeah, and I got every Wolverine, everything the X-Men, every Captain America, Iron Man, like just all of it, like from the first appearance till last week. It's there's over 100,000 comics in the between here and the house.
Wow, nice, man. I mean, I will say, like, I love that this culture, and maybe. I think a lot of it you can attribute to the success of the Marvel movies, but being a geek is like cool now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
around. Yeah.
We used to be the dorks, and now we're like cool.
Yeah, and of course I've got all the G.I. Joe comics. Of course. But yeah, like as you can see, I've got my Star Wars above me, and things go all over this place. In glass cases here, and I've pretty much taken over this condo as like a showroom for the vintage toys. And then we inherited a house up in Port St. Lucie, and I took over a room there for all the modern stuff. So I've got my classified and all the Black Series, Star Wars, and Marvel Legends like up there. So I gotta say,
I bought the initial release of Classified just as literally as a means of like, saluting the troops and like standing in line with G.I. Joe. But I didn't really like them because I'm a 3 3/4 guy.
Me too.
But I think when they started looking like the ones we wanted them to look like, now I'm all in.
Yeah. Did you get any of the HasLabs? Did you get the big Hiss tank and stuff?
No, I honestly, man, it's a spatial thing for me. My collecting is definitely. I mean, I have taken over every closet in my condo. My wife is like, "Come on, dude." Unfortunately, until I buy a house, which as a Florida resident, you know how difficult that can be. until that happens, like everything for me is in boxes, unfortunately. But I just, a day will come when they all come out, and the nerd room will come alive.
What
It
is
just keeps going. It's an ever evolving.
Oh, yeah.
thing. So he has 2 places. My whole house has 3 rooms filled like this. It
That
will always
rules.
keep going. It's that collector in us.
Yeah.
I mean, I just recently I went to a place near me. Have you been to Plastic Universe?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I mean, I went there and bought all of the Super 7. I bought I bought Cold Slither Zartan. I bought the Fatal Fluffy. I bought Duke. I think they're doing a great job over there at Super 7 with the 3 3/4.
Yeah, my Zartan Cold Slither shipped, but unfortunately it didn't arrive yet. I was hoping it would get here to yesterday or so I could be like, here he is. But no,
It's funny, man. The other night I played a gig Friday, and the bass player in the band is a big Joe guy, and he brings over the Zartan, and he goes, "Dude, you got to sign this." I was like, it didn't even really dawn on me that this is going to be a thing, and I'm like, I don't know how to sign this, man. Do I sign it as me? Do I sign it as Zartan? Like, I don't. And I remember calling Gerardo about it the next day, and I'm like, because we're doing there's supposed to be a meet and greet the next day at the Hasbro booth at Comic-Con, and I'm like, how am I signing things? Like, am I coming up with a Zartan signature, or what am I doing here?
Well, like a lot of the guys that do voiceover work, that some of them do that. They'll go, like, they'll either sign their name and then they say,
good point.
They say as Zartan or as Cobra Commander.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or they'll actually write out Cobra Commander and then sign it, or give a code.
Oh, that rules.
But
yeah, I guess I have a few things signed by Peter Cullen, and it says Peter Cullen, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Super 7 announced more retro, with the album.
Oh, that's good to know. That's cool.
And what does Gus mean? Used to be dorks. Thanks, Left Coast.
I mean, right, we're still dorks, but now we're just socially accepted dorks.
Now it's cool.
Right, now it's cool.
Rick there at Left Coast Graphics is also a big vintage and 3 3/4 fan. He's very much on the 3 3/4 train,
I mean, the bulk of my collection is 25th anniversary and like the 30th anniversary stuff. I have some vintage stuff, but it's just so brittle. And, I just went really hard on I remember walking into Walmart and seeing new Joes on the pegs in with the right card backs. And I just remember I just stuck my hand at the back of the thing and I just fall into my card. I just bought everything I saw.
Yeah.
That's how it happened to me too. I was walking in Target and I saw the TVC, the Vintage Collection Star Wars, and it was on the vintage card back style. And I was like, you're all coming with me.
Yeah. I got a lot of TVC also.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, do you have like a favorite, G.I. Joe, like vehicle or character or anything from when we were kids, like in that?
Oh yeah, the night. For me. It's the Night Raven. It's just the easy. Easy answer. I have a Night Raven. I have this very vivid memory of September is my birthday, so it's September 1986. We went to a place called Service Merchandise, and I got the Night Raven. To me, it's still like, it's just the coolest black and red toy ever. It's so badass.
Yeah.
I'm praying that they do a 3 3/4 HasLab for that, because I will buy a fleet of those things.
Wow.
And it was so big when we were kids. It was like a.
Oh my God! You held it with like 2 hands.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mine was my favorite thing was the helicopter from Wild Bill's there, the Dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
And then I got the Rattler, and
I love
the Rattler. I
Rattler
love that
was
Rattler and the Hiss Tank. The Hiss Tank was the greatest tank vehicle ever created, man.
I love the Claw.
Man, I'll tell you, the Pursuit of Cobra His Tank is probably my favorite. That one was amazing.
Yeah.
It had actual like moving treads and stuff. Like I love the Pursuit of Cobra was another one of the, like, for me, such a good Joe line. I mean, I bought every single thing that came out.
Yep.
I just exploded. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Lucky
Yeah.
I hit the mute before it came on.
I like the
Connor says the whale. He says,
the
but
whale?
it drove me crazy falling apart.
Yeah, the whale. I mean, the whale's great, but it's just there's so many parts to break and lose.
Yeah.
I had one and I sold it just because it gave me anxiety. Like, there's just so many things that can go wrong with it.
So I had 5 brothers and sisters, so I didn't get a lot of big toys and stuff back then, but I loved the Claw. That was one of my favorite. Just fly that guy around. And then the water moccasin.
Water moccasin, man. That was the water moccasin and the All-Striker for like mid-size or smaller toys. Oh man, I love those. I got a bunch of those.
The mid-size were where it's at for me. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a rich kid, so like I never even saw a flag physically in person till I was an adult.
Yep.
We had a friend that lived around the corner, like, a couple streets away, and his parents got him a flag, and they put it together. They put it together in his playroom, but I think they had spent so much money on it, and when they put this thing together, I think they realized how fragile it was. That when he had company over, we were only allowed to go in that playroom and play with it for like an hour. And then his mom would come in, and she would check that all the stuff was okay and still there when we were exiting the room.
I mean, $100 in 1985 to blow on a toy, man.
Back then, yeah. So I still wonder. I'm like, I wonder if he's still around, and where is that flag? Like, is it still in that room, or what happened to it?
I mean, I always joke with my wife. I'm like, one day there's going to be a new coffee table in this house that no one can use.
Rick says his favorite thing about G.I. Joe was the Canada flags on the vehicles. He grew up in Canada. So
that's cool.
His tank for me, loved the Action Force Hyena. Yeah, Jonathan's over in the UK with that, so they had the Action Force versions of
right.
G.I. Joe. Connor says
I mean, that's the interesting thing. I'm interested to see, just kind of how, because I don't really have any gauge. Like, I know Action Force was a big thing in the UK, but like, is Joe big in like Germany and like where? I don't really know like how far the reach goes.
They were,
and I think
heroes, right, instead of American heroes.
They eventually went all over and became the international heroes. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wonder, obviously my dream, and this is completely up to the people, because somebody already asked me this the other day, like, is there going to be a tour? And, first and foremost, this is Hasbro's IP. They control everything. So if a tour offer came in, like Hasbro would have to okay it. They obviously get, a percentage of whatever money's made. So I wouldn't imagine they would say no to it. But it all depends on, I think if people genuinely like the album, which that falls on my shoulders if I wrote good songs or not. In my dream, I really hope that there's a tour. And then that's when I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if there would be a European tour. Was G.I. Joe popular enough to warrant going to Europe with this? Because, I mean, I would love to.
Well, it seems like it went all over Europe and stuff, because Connor's in Ireland. He says it was big in the UK because of Action Force, and he goes, it was in France, Spain, Germany, Holland. Yeah, so.
I mean, therein lies like some of the, Matt and I, like, you know, we're known guys in like the metal world or whatever. So, you know, I think hopefully there's a little cross mogenation going on where like the toy people are into it, but like hopefully like metal people will get into it also, and everybody just kind of like digs the band.
I think,
but again, that's we'll see.
If you were like skeptical about touring on your own in Europe or something, maybe hit the festival scene with it. I think you'd be surprised at how many fans would cross generate. You know
yeah, I mean, I think you know, I was talking to Gerardo from the record company, and you know, the promotional cycle for the record is going to be kind of backwards. Whereas when you release a normal album, you do a bunch of promo and PR leading up to the release. This is going to probably happen after the release of the record. So, you know, I think based on the sales, you know, will there be a demand, you know, and obviously, like, you know, how cool would it be to do a tour with like the, you know, the Cybertronic band, and, you know, like,
there you go.
You know, that would just be like a big celebration of like awesome.
Hell yeah.
Or get a bunch of Joes to sing the Joe song and have like a battle of the bands right on stage.
I mean, you know, there's I saw that they re-recorded the intro to Gem and the Hologram, so like she's active. She's active again.
Shabby's all about it.
Yeah, we got a couple of friends in the community that are really big into Gem and the Holograms. So I heard the re-recording, and she still sounds great. She still looks good. Like, you know, it was really well done, actually. You know, speaking of the music itself, why don't we play a clip of Cold Slither here?
Yeah.
I could add this to the stage, and hopefully this works, and hopefully everybody can hear it.
Cold Slither, you'll be joining us soon. Bound to fight bass, playing our tune. But I am best in a reptile fist, we shall rule. But God of words, we've heard it before. We're not gonna play the game no more. You'll tell us what's right, you'll tell us what's wrong. Too late to resist, 'cause Cobra is strong.
That is so cool. I love it. I love
awesome.
it. So, who came up with the like? This is very comic booky. The art and the way that it's put together. Like,
yeah, I mean, that was you know, that's all the record company. Yeah, I mean, you know, again, Gerardo Martinez, the main guy at Reigning Phoenix, he's a Joe guy, like a legit Joe guy. So he has a vision, you know, he sees how he wants to see it play out. And he's a fan first and foremost. So he's like, you know, he's like, we have these conversations and we're both like giddy little kids. You know, like as soon as the videos are done, he sends them to me and he goes, dude, check this out, you know? And it's like, an interesting thing about when that song came out, I thought it was funny how many comments were like, this is AI. And I remember talking to Gerard and I go, hey, that's kind of good that people maybe think it's so good that it can't be real. But, you know, it was interesting, you know. I'm glad it seems like people like it. So that's, you know, as the guy that made the music, even though I didn't write that song, like it was, you know, how I thought it should sound was that they left completely up to me.
Yeah.
And, you know,
well,
and this is kind of the
way, I think in a way, like you took the original song and made it on a modern metal version. I mean, like that's
right.
I mean, that's,
you know, that's a lot of this, you know, I've read some comments that this isn't the way Cold Slither sounded, you know, which everybody's obviously completely entitled to their opinion. This is just the way that I thought Cold Slither would sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it's obviously not everybody's going to agree with how I heard it in my head. But, you know, the only thing I would say to anybody is like, you know, all of it came from a really genuine place. And, you know, it was a significant weight on my shoulder of like, oh my God, this has got to be good because it's Cold Slither. Like, this has got to be good.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had some friends, a couple of friends that I trusted enough to play the demos for. And I'm like, just tell me the truth. Like, you know what this is supposed to be. What do you think? Like, the lyrics, are they too stupid? Are they not, you know, because I had to submit the lyrics for approval. The song titles would need approval. You know, like Hasbro needed to approve everything. But as far as like like the actual music and the vocal lines and the vocal melodies, that's, you know, that's all me. And, you know, thankfully, you know, the people I played it for, the couple of people I played it for were like, no, man, this is what I think a heavy metal band of Dreadnoks would sound like. So yeah, just keep going in the direction you're going. So,
well, I can tell you the people in our group of our circle that are all into G.I. Joe and everything, we've been loving the content. We've been loving the music so far. We've been loving the idea that, you know, we've been loving the idea that Cold Slither is here and getting the figures, finally getting like action figures and stuff. Like the whole package has just been like, we're all like, yes, this is so cool.
I mean, you know, you read the article I wrote, like, you know how much this all means to me. So for you guys, the fans, obviously me included also, but like for you guys to accept my idea of what Cold Slither sounds like, it means a lot to me. It really does. And, you know, I did this for us. Like, this is for us. So, you know, to hear that you guys liked it, man, it means a lot to me. It really does. And thank you.
Yeah.
And like John says, it's a nod back to when we were kids, where you had the toys supported by the cartoon, supported by the comic book, supported by radio, music, whatever, you know, and bringing all that media together is only going to bring people to it. So I think that's a good thing.
I mean, I'm hoping that's the way Hasbro feels about it. Like, you know, there's probably plenty of guys that listen to metal that don't collect G.I. Joe that liked G.I. Joe. And maybe this sparks a little like, oh man, like I used to love G.I. Joe, and they come into our community now, which is, you know, we're kind of, I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We got a question here from Gap, if you don't mind. When
Sure.
you write music, do you hear it in your head or as an idea? Like, how he wants to know your process, I guess.
This album was different in that I brainstormed all the song titles first because I needed to submit them for approval. And I knew it was going to be a 10-song record, and Cold Slither was already written. So I wrote 9 song titles, you know, that I just pulled out of my head, like Thunder Machine, Knock 'em Dread. And then I submitted it, and then Hasbro added like 2 or 3 that somebody over there thought would be cool titles. And so then I had to take the song titles and I wrote the lyrics first. And then based on how the lyrics kind of came out, it gave me the vibe that I thought the song should be. You know, and again, I tried to write music that would be metal enough that metalheads would be like, yeah, this is killer, but not so extreme that people that don't necessarily like metal would still enjoy it, you know. And it's obviously very 80s and, you know, late early 90s maybe centric, so it's dated, you know, very intentionally, you know, and I just, you know, however the song came out, I just remember when I would hear the final thing and I'd be like, man, I think this is, you know, as a songwriter, you never know. It's, you know, you think it's good. Obviously, you know, when you think it's done, you think it's good, but ultimately it's up to the public to decide. You know, and especially something like this that's so beloved by so many. You know, I handled it with an incredible amount of care. I really scrutinized it to like no end. And, I'm very curious to see what everybody thinks when they hear the whole album.
Yeah. Well, we can tell from just what you're saying and the way your tone and everything is that you care and love the Dreadnoks and G.I. Joe and this whole idea of Cold Slither. And it shows, I think, in the music and what you've put together. And it must have been, I can feel it in your voice and when you're talking, like it must have been something where you're sitting around like, I have got to do this justice for the fans. I have got to make this right.
Right.
Because so many people love that episode, and I've just got to hit it. I got to hit it right.
Well, you get only one chance to make that first. This isn't like this band that came out of nowhere. This is Cold Slither, and if you're, and I kind of try to explain this to people that aren't like in the world. I'm like, the thing about the toy community and the comic kind of community or whatever, like. This stuff means more to us than, this isn't just something we watch on TV. For many of us, for plenty of us, sure, it was just something you watch on TV. But for a lot of us, these guys, they were our friends. You know what I mean? They were our heroes. Like, they mean a lot. And, I felt the weight of that, every single day I was making these demos. And, and when I heard the final mix of everything, I got emotional because I was like, oh my God, like this is the Cold Slither record. Like, I kind of went and I got the tattoo because I thought to myself, no matter what happens, I'll always be the guy that wrote the Cold Slither record. So I'm a Dreadnok for life. Like,
there you go. Yeah.
No matter what.
Well, Connor's on board here. Connor says, right on, John. I'm loving Cold Slither that it's come to life. Plus, it freaking rocks. Look at it. So, there you go.
Thank you, man.
Gus, I had a thought about influences because I thought I may have picked up on a little Steve Harris galloping style bass in that clip that John had played. Do you
older
influences into your playing?
There was, you just sort of. What, again, you kind of just think like, what would Cold Slither have sounded like? Like the cartoon version was very like,
catchy.
You could tell it was just kind of like a writer writing for an episode for a TV show. And, the guy probably didn't listen to metal. So what would a guy that does listen to metal, what would this have sounded like? And, I just kind of, if there's an odometer on heaviness, I just kind of clicked it a few clicks more to where it's like heavier. And, what was heavy in 1985, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Wasp, Twisted Sister, that, thrash metal it wasn't 1986 yet. It wasn't super extreme. So it was just very still like heavy metal, Yeah, it was like hard rock, heavy metal.
Yeah.
So that's just where I, that again, you just kind of hear it in your head. And, I just got some grape soda and some chocolate donuts. I went to my studio, and I did it very old school. Like there's no drum programming. There's no vocal fake, we, even in my other bands, we still make records the old fashioned way. Like it's live drums without a bunch of computer stuff fixing things. Like, it's a real guitar amp with a guitar and, I just do things the old way. And, obviously something like this, it's supposed to be old. That's what we did.
Yeah. We did pull in a new fan here. It says, hope you don't think less of me, but I never saw the episode. I only know it from Super John, me. But now I am a big fan, Geek Strong. So,
dude, it doesn't matter when you discover G.I. Joe. I'm certainly like no gatekeeper. If you love G.I. Joe, I don't, you're one of us. Like, I don't care when.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we got a good friend that only very recently went back and watched all the episodes, and he's like, "Now I get it." He goes, "I totally get it." You know?
I mean, to me, that's the interesting thing is like a lot of GI Joe episodes just hold up.
Yeah.
You know, there's some topics on there that are, you know, especially in like season 2. You know, the episode when they were all having nightmares and Lowlight was, you know, clearly suffering from PTSD from child abuse. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's heavy stuff.
Yeah,
That's heavy stuff. And, you know, the Joe team.
About the one where they went to another parallel universe and saw that their own skeletons and half the Joes.
Dude, that episode scared me. I'm
you know that episode. Like, yeah.
Remember the Phantom Brigade episode when they had ghosts come and like fight Joe? And like, I mean, yeah, there's some crazy stuff in G.I. Joe, man.
Yeah.
When they went to
what's that?
They went to Transylvania and like went to Vlad the Impaler's castle. Like, dude, that's death metal, man.
Yeah. But I gotta tell you, there is one vehicle that we gotta highlight because of this song just came out, the Thunder Machine.
Mine's in my room, man. Mine's in my room.
Mine's got Monkey Wrench hanging out on it, and Thrasher's in there.
Nice.
And
I love Monkey Wrench.
You're right. Yeah, he's cool. And I'm waiting for the classified one. He's on order.
On his way.
Yeah, he looks great. Mine's on order too.
But we got a clip from this song. Like I can hopefully will work here.
Are we gonna put up with this banger?
Miranda, there she is.
See me coming, rolling on. Dark glass, time to die. It's a thunder machine.
Can't play like too much of it, but yeah, that is so that song, man. It really is good right from the start with that riff. I mean, come on. I mean, that. I
mean,
that's
that
the stuff that's totally original, right? You just was like, there's got to be a song about the Thunder Machine, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first title I came up with for the album was Thunder Machine. I just knew there had to be a song called Thunder Machine. I mean, it's Dreadnoks.
Right.
And when I said Thunder Machine, like I just heard this like like just, you know, like dry like music if you were hauling ass in your car, just, you know, driving maniacally, like that's the song you would hear. And that's just what like kind of came out.
Wow. That's cool. Now you said you got your Thunder Machine still? You got one?
Oh yeah, man! I got a Thunder Machine in my room. It's funny. I just went to Plastic Universe recently because I don't have any of the vintage Dreadnoks. I got all the 25th anniversary guys.
Okay, yeah.
And I wanna buy all like the vintage guys so I can like deck out my Thunder Machine.
That's cool.
And I remember when I went in there to tell him that, I couldn't tell him why. I was just like, I'm looking for all the vintage Dreadnoks.
Yeah,
he's
got a studio in his back room there, and when I went in, he knew about this show, and he's like, I didn't know you were local, that local. So he's like, we're gonna do a collab sometime. Those guys are pretty cool down there. I like them a lot.
I messaged him the other day, and because I was born in Venezuela, but I moved here when I was like 10 months old. But I messaged him not joking because it's true, but I was like, hey, Zartan is Venezuelan. And he was like, oh my God, you got to come on the podcast. So, you know, I'm at some point I'll make my way over there, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's those guys are really nice, and it's a great store. I love seeing the one of the kind things and some of the prototypes, and he's got card backs from other countries, which I love.
Yeah, man, it's a really great store. Really, and again, it's like he's one of us. Like he
Yeah.
loves, there's an emotional connection there.
We live in a really good spot for toys because we've got way back when, we've got bits and buttons, we've got that plastic universe, we've got great comic stores like Phil's Comic Shop. I mean, this little and Tate's comics
Yeah,
and toys and
yeah.
stuff, And there's not a lot of places when I travel around that have this many stores within like an hour's drive. Like
Maybe
stuff
have
Yeah,
like
I
to
mean,
buy.
which is, kind of a testament to how healthy the community is, man. Like
yeah,
it's just awesome, and to like for me to come out of like, I'm like this metal guy and now, to be somewhat known or whatever eventually known in this community is going to be interesting for me to finally connect with people that feel that, because my whole career it's been always just metal and metal bands and stuff, but I've always just been this big GI Joe guy or 80s toy guy, and to connect with this community is going to be really cool. I'm really looking forward to that aspect of it.
Very nice.
What were you gonna say, G?
Oh, I forgot.
Well,
It was
We're old.
Geek
It wasn't-
Strong's also saying I learned never to talk to strangers from GI Joe.
Yeah, he makes a living.
Dude, I think, and I touched on it on this article I wrote, for those of us whose childhoods were, less than perfect, these heroes went a long way for us. You know what I mean? Like I connected with Luke Skywalker on a very deep level. To me, Optimus Prime is like a father figure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Characters like Duke, Flint, especially like Spirit. Spirit, for some reason, for me, was always this. I really connected with Spirit. I love Spirit. His honor, his discipline. And these are things that I do. I feel like I learned right from wrong from G.I. Joe, and and the gratitude that I have for that is real and it's substantial, and it's for adults that don't get it or think grow up. It's like, well, luckily you maybe didn't need these guys like I did, but I'm grateful that I had them. So
absolutely.
Screw you.
I love the characters, like you said, Optimus Prime. I mean, what better father figure could you really have as a kid? You know what I mean? Like that guy was like there was honor, there was trust, respect. He valued the people that were under him, the robots that were under him, and cared for them. He came down here and cared for the human race, when he didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like it was.
I mean, I could go on and on about Optimus Prime, and even Peter Cullen, because honestly, Peter Cullen, the person,
made that
he is, he is Optimus Prime to me. And I remember like 2 years ago now, or maybe 3 years ago, I paid $400 to have a 10-minute one-on-one with him via Zoom.
Wow.
And, and I got to tell him face to face, like, what he meant to me. And, it was kind of a life-changing moment for me, honestly. Like he just, that guy means the world to me.
Wow. Connor says, even you meet in the collecting community are good people. These toy lines and social media really had a positive impact on all of us. Everyone you meet, he meant, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're again, like if you see somebody, a complete stranger, and he's wearing a Marvel shirt or a GI Joe shirt or a Transformer shirt, you're like, I don't know you, but we're friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or an Exodus shirt, or
I mean, in the metal community, it's very much the same way. Like, if you're at the, you know, wherever, if you're somewhere and someone's wearing a Slayer shirt and you got a Metallica shirt, yeah, you're friends. Instantly, you're just friends.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of, do you have any idea if they're going to be selling Cold Slither, like retro style, like the old metal concert shirts?
You know, that stuff is all completely out of my hands.
Yeah. Because think about how cool that would be. Like, imagine like an 80s style, those old Rat concert T-shirts, you know? Like,
I mean,
quarter length baseball shirt.
You know, in for me, in a perfect world, the show in Comic-Con goes really well. You know, let's be honest, Hasbro hopefully makes a lot of money and they see it fit to like push for a tour.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to see a world in where like we go on tour and like, you know, Hasbro sets up a little mini booth at, you know, every show, and it's like you turn every show into like a little mini con. Yeah. And you just kind of celebrate this whole thing every single night. Like that's the way I would love to see it. And yeah, man, I would love to see a bunch of merch. You know, I personally want to. I want a Cold Slither guitar strap. I want Cold Slither, like, you know, a tank top, a hoodie. Like I want all that stuff, but that stuff is out of my control.
Yeah. Did they send you a figure, or do you have to get your own?
Not yet. It's, you know, I've been treading very lightly on that stuff because, like, you know, like just recently they dropped some pre-orders. I pre-ordered my stuff. You know, I haven't gone and been like, hey, man, do I get any kind of stuff for free? I do know I'm getting a box set. I think there's like talk of me doing an unboxing video with them.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But, you know, at this point, I'm still just the guy that's very grateful that I got chosen to do this. So awesome. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, exactly. I get you. Yeah.
Still dying to know the price of the classified stuff.
That I don't know either.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, world events are going to be a factor.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, which sucks.
So other things that you like, I know that you collect a lot of toys. Like, how far does your reach go? Like, we know you're into G.I. Joe, Transformers. Like, were you doing He-Man, Masters of the Universe, or like Centurions, Silverhawks, like Thundercats, like Inhumanoids?
Well,
you know what I mean?
In
like,
the 80s, you know, in the 80s, yeah, man, I had all of it. You know what I mean? I wasn't a rich kid, so I could get like one figure here, and you know, I went pretty heavy on Mask when that was like a thing back in the 80s. But now as an adult, I'm but a humble musician, so I don't have a, infinite amount of money or space. So, my collection I went all in on the Origins, Masters of the Universe stuff. Like, I got basically every figure. I got, Snake Mountain. I got Castle Grayskull. I'm hoping for a couple of more things to come out. So I have all of that. I'm all in on space wise. Basically, I'm getting all of the classified figures, the ones that I like. I kind of dropped off G.I. Joe in like early 87. So the 87, 88 guys don't resonate with me.
Same thing. Yeah, same with most of us, I think, in this group.
You're turning about 15-ish, and
when I discovered Slayer and started playing guitar, that was the cutoff for toys, and I was like, these things get you girls, so I'm gonna play guitar.
I love that logo on that thing. That's
well, it's funny. This is my stage guitar. This is gonna be. The guitar I use, the guys at Dean, we're going to give them a shout out. The guys at Dean Guitars were gracious enough to send me this. So this will be the guitar I use at the gig.
Wow.
So I'm just kind of limited by space and financial resources. I had a bunch of TVC. I think that's really, and I have a bunch of Transformers. I'm
Yeah.
super stoked on the Studio Series Megatron that I just saw the pictures for. That's going to be a must-have. You know, so those are the big four that I'm into now is still Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and He-Man. Like I kind of have to. I'm a little afraid of like how cool the packaging is going to be for the mask stuff that's coming back out.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I've got a lot of the original masks, but I'm seeing that stuff and going, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to buy this line. I can't."
I mean, if the Rhinos if the packaging is legit, I'm going to buy one of each of those. I don't, I mean, if the Rhino's probably going to be at least $100, and to have a boxed Rhino for $100, yeah, I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah.
You fool not.
Yeah. They really got me with that one because I was like going, not going to get a lot more modern stuff, just pick and choose here and there. And then I saw those and I'm like, crap, I'm going to be all in. I know it.
I literally said the same thing. I was like, damn it. I got to get these now too.
You got to try to focus on one, and it's so hard because there's so much good stuff coming out.
Well, we usually chat for an hour. We're right about at that point. Anything else that you want to bring up or talk about related to Cold Slither? Guys in the chat, is there any last minute questions or comments you want to put up? Go ahead and do that real quick.
I mean, I guess on my, if somebody's got questions, I'd love to answer them. I guess just from my end, and we've already said it, but this is really coming from, I'm one of you guys. Like G.I. Joe means quite a lot to me. I put a lot of care and heart into these songs. And, I just hope everybody kind of, when you hear these songs and you get the record, feel that, like, know that this is, I'm a Joe guy. And, I'm honored that I'm in this position. Like, it's a real honor and a privilege that I don't take lightly or for granted. So I'm just super happy to be here.
And I guess Jonathan got here a little late, but we did cover this, Jonathan. He said it was almost 10 years that since they came up with a concept, and then through various things, it didn't really take off until a couple of years ago when they finally were putting everything together, right? If I understood it right, Gus?
Yeah, I mean, it was an old idea. Then G.I. Joe kind of went dead at Hasbro. Then it kind of came back up, and then a pandemic happened. And, and then a year ago, it got greenlit, and here we are.
Yeah. I imagine anytime you're dealing with the likes of a corporation like Hasbro, it's so much red tape and so many things. Everything that you produce has to be approved and reapproved, and that's quite a nightmare.
I mean, it wasn't really. I mean, it really wasn't too bad. I mean, I kind of, you're not gonna, you don't want to write a song with a title like FGI Joe. You know what I mean? You know what it's kind of supposed to be. I'll give you guys a funny title that they gave me. So there's a song on the record called "These Fluffies Are Fatal." And if you know what that is, then you know what that is. And I remember reading the title, and I'm like, oh my God, how do I make a song out of this? And then the first thing that came to me was just like a melody for for that phrase, "These fluffies are fatal." Like, and then I just wrote the song around that. And it actually is one of the cooler songs on the record, even though the title is ridiculous.
Yeah. You're cool. Like, what am I gonna do with this? And then,
what do I do with this?
I'm sure they pulled that. They wanted to bring something in related to Fatal Fluffies because of the new line of figures. Yeah. Having that.
Well, that's when I saw that the figures came out, I was like, I gotta get these guys now. I mean, I wrote the damn song.
Right.
Yeah, I had to have the Fatal Fluffy and the other guy. What was his name there? The big guy.
It's like Hernando. Yeah, it's like a Latin name.
Yeah, the big guy in the arena.
Romar, isn't it? Romar or Romar?
Like that.
Yeah.
Rockar or something.
And Dino's like, wait, what's a fluffy? You'll
Do your
find
homework.
out. Yeah, you'll find out.
Was that from the first miniseries or the second one? I think it's the first
I
one.
think it's the second one, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't. I think it was the first one that was part of the initial first season. But didn't they do
Is that Pyramid of Darkness? It is Pyramid of Darkness. You're right. I think it is Pyramid of Darkness.
Yeah, because didn't they do
sounds
that?
familiar.
The other one was first, right? I guess I don't know. It's so I get so mixed up with those
There's
first
so
couple
many
miniseries,
episodes.
and then there was a first couple miniseries, and then there was an ongoing. So I don't. Yeah, it's hard to remember the order. He's like, oh dang it, there's homework. Well,
You gotta
God,
catch up, man.
I'd
yeah,
like
well,
to say I appreciate what you've done because, like, say, being a metalhead and a toy geek, it's right up my alley. So kudos to you, sir.
I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's your guys' approval that's going to make it fly or sink, you know. So hopefully people like it, man. It's, you know, I have to leave that, you know, as a musician, I'm used to it. When you put out a record, you never know.
Yeah.
So I just really, you know, I hope you guys like it because I want so much to do more with it. So I hope it's just not one show. I would love to go on tour, and, you know, not just to play these songs, but to go on the tour and every day and in a new city, meet a bunch of like-minded toy people. You know what I mean? I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be cool. And if you got time to visit other stores and places in each town that's related,
Yeah,
to
and
stuff, you know,
bang and keep banging my wallet. I come home broke but with a bunch of toys.
There you go. Yeah, honey, we got paid in toys. Sorry.
I've been gone a month and I don't have anything to show but this big box of stuff.
Yep.
And then your wife starts selling them on eBay. There you go.
Oh my God! Right?
Ouch! Let's not talk that kind of craziness.
Well, Gus, I got to say thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy.
Thank you, guys.
That Brian at Phil's Comics got us together because, I mean, this was just a great conversation, and you truly are one of us. I absolutely like. We're all in this together, and it's been great getting to chat with you. And I hope we can keep in touch. And
man, I was going to say, you know, get with Brian and man, and maybe the three of us can meet for like lunch or something one day. You know.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, man.
Maybe he goes, I believe John's done stuff with bands before. Maybe he could be the Fatal Fluffy. Fantastic conversation. Thanks.
I mean, there's so much you can do with this. Like, I already have this idea of like, man, if we could find a pair of twins and, you know, and they could like be the representatives of the band. Like, oh man, there's so much cool stuff you could do with this.
Yeah, Tomax and Zema, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate all you guys in the chat hanging out with us today. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay awesome, everybody. Now we get that awkward